about the availability of a position at ELTA from Carla Kelsey, who was here several years ago. And Carla is one of the poets that I published in my publication work at Asada Press. And what she had mentioned was that Eniko Bolabash, who is at ELTA, is an Emily Dickinson scholar. And my work, my last book, was based on the work of Emily Dickinson. It was very positive, incredibly positive. I was able to teach creative writing to Hungarian students, which is not something that's in their curriculum ordinarily. So they were excited to take the class, and I was eager to teach it. Oh, it's been fun. I did a reading in Veszprém just yesterday, and I'm going to be giving a lecture, which is actually a poetry reading, tomorrow at ELTA, so as part of their Best of American Studies Week. And I'm looking forward to that. My students are coming.
My initial motivation to come to Hungary was the really otherworldly fascination of Hungarian gypsy music that I just heard being in a musical family. And so when the chance came for me to come here and learn how to play some of this mysterious and very difficult music from people who actually play it for a living and grew up in the tradition, I just jumped at that. It was too good of an opportunity to miss. My hosts and I have talked a little bit about future collaborations that have to do with raising awareness of Hungarian gypsy music in the international theater. It's something that I feel like has a lot of potential as an international phenomenon, but certain kind of barriers in terms of English-speaking managers and stuff have kept it kind of isolated in Hungary. So hopefully we'll be able to do some stuff in the future. I think that the greatest influence is definitely my teacher, Botos Tibor, who's just such an amazing guitar player and an amazing person. He taught me not only a lot of stuff about how to relate to the guitar and how to relate to music, but also how can you have a friend and teacher with whom your linguistic communication is severely limited. And I just feel like I've learned a lot about music and kind of about the human sentiment that really gives music its real value from that relationship.
I chose Hungary for my Fulbright because I've been working here for the past 5 years for my dissertation research that focuses on the Neolithic on the Great Hungarian Plain. And so I wanted to continue that research and to really have the opportunity to have access to the museums and the collections at the museums in order to complete my dissertation research. My favorite region in Hungary to visit, that's a tough one because I work on the Great Hungarian Plain, and so I love southeastern Hungary. I love the people there, I love the culture, I love the food, the csapai kolbász, phenomenal. But I think to visit, my favorite part is Degge for short visits because it's wine country and it's a gorgeous city as well. Well, I have worked on lots of different excavations in Hungary over the past 5 years, this being my 5th year. And this season that we're going to have now actually starts in June. So my Fulbright doesn't end until August. And so I'll have more materials then. But some materials that we've excavated in the past, I have brought back to the States to analyze.
I was here for 4 or 5 months about, and coming back, of course, I thought, oh, if I could have, I really would have done a year. So coming back, there was never a question. My Fulbright would be to Hungary, and that was, yeah. So I mean, I was fortunate to have an influential professor or mentor, I guess. The first time I was here, I guess 2.5 years ago, I had the luck of having one of his courses in economics and building up a little bit of rapport with him. And from that, when I was applying for my Fulbright, actually, I sent a cold email to him saying asking if he remembered me by chance and if he would have any interest in hosting me. And that's where our little connection came about. And I mean, the nice thing is with that, I mean, him being a previous Minister of Industrial Trade and also being, head of the Hungarian Central Bank for a while, so his signature was on a Hungarian banknote. It just really offers perspective and experience to everything that I learned. So of course, in a textbook, you can learn only so much. But when you bring in the personal experiences and also his personal anecdotes, and that's, I think, what really builds a bigger picture for what I learned here. The new fellowship would be the American Fellowship for the Antal József Knowledge Center, actually, which is also based at the university I've been studying at, Corvinus University. And actually, Károly approached me early on in the semester where he made some connections to the university and suggested that should I have some interest, I should find out more and see what they were doing. So it's an interesting dynamic of, you know, the research center really proposing research in different fields, politically, you know, defense, and even some economics or transition background. And I thought that if I could tie this in, I could extend my stay in Hungary. So a balance, of course, with what my mentor's done already, him being under the Antal József administration previously. So I think that's a full circle connection that I can draw and build on. Well, let's see. So tentatively, I'm going back to the States, but if there's another opportunity, I would like to maybe extend for one more semester coming back. But then after that, I'm planning on grad school actually and completing my education going further from that point. I think absolutely. In the main sense, it's building experience in different systems. So, I mean, for me, studying, my background is more in international business, so it's pulling together a broader perspective. And so let's say you can say the American capitalist system versus the transition system, what I've seen over the last 20 years here in Hungary, I can build to a broader perspective that allows me to maybe be more mobile in my work, and maybe I can specialize more in Central Eastern Europe or maybe even in Hungary, so for future work opportunities.
Came to Budapest a couple of summers ago on a trip, sort of out of curiosity. I'd always heard stories and good accounts of Budapest, and I decided to come out of curiosity. And I was looking for walls covered with posters. I was looking for the posters that tell what's happening in a city. I don't vandalize things, I just take pictures. Sometimes I remove posters, but it's artwork, it's not vandalism. By ripping the posters down, I'm creating an artwork installation, which is, at one hand, very similar, linked to the street, but it's also totally separate. Well, when I'm ripping down the posters, some people just look at me with strange looks. You know, what's this guy doing? Rolling them up, putting them in my backpack. But I think actually, I got laughter from some people. But then in an art context, it's a more serious discussion, actually, about the ramifications of actually removing posters, censoring posters in a way. This is the first time that I've been able to live in a city where I work. In the past, my work had been just made after a visit to Budapest or something. I went home and made work, but now I've been living here, and it's been a really wonderful experience because I've been able to go every day and just like work around in these walls and sort of walk by them and just soak them in. And that's definitely going to be a springboard for me going into the future. For other projects in other cities that I go to, they'll always relate back to what I've learned in Budapest, and the pictures and the artworks that I've made in Budapest will be the foundation for what I'm going to do in the future. Yeah.
The similarities I found with Katalin Forrai and the research I've done. She was a mother of 3 children. I'm a mother of 2 children. And she cared very much about music and music education. I feel I care about music and music education. She traveled extensively to 23 different countries. And I've only traveled to, I think, 4 countries, but I'm very interested in international work, so yeah, I do find things interesting that we share. Having my family here has been wonderful. I think it's been challenging in some ways, but I have a very fast pace at home. I'm a PhD student and I work 2 jobs and I'm always busy. So being here allowed me time to really be with them. And even though I've been very busy, the pace in Hungary is much calmer, and we've had the best time. We've really grown as a family. When I return to the United States, I'm going to write my dissertation first, which is a huge document, but then I will take the material and write the biography of Katalin Forrai. And her family's interested in my doing that, and I'm not sure how I will get it published, but I'm working on that.
When I think about teaching English to non-native speakers, considering that in the States I do literature, writing, and debate, it's really different. It's really different. And I love language, I love words, so that makes it easier because I'm passionate about it no matter what I'm teaching. But I am not that great at grammar, and so having to teach grammar was very funny. And I found there were challenges that I hadn't expected, like explaining a vocabulary word when I don't have the words to explain the vocabulary words. very different lesson plans. In the States, they're very student-centered, and here in Hungary, it's very teacher-centered because I am the language expert. So I had to do a lot of more structured lessons and really try to predict what they would not know so that I could look up the words in Hungarian before and be able to help them. So just a lot of different structure to make sure we reach the same goal at the end of each lesson. I was very welcomed into the new community of teachers and students. They immediately recognized me as just a part of the Verespelné family, and it's a beautiful community there to begin with, and so they really made it a wonderful place to be.
My two hosts being the Amadinda Percussion Group and the Liszt Academy of Music. There was a very close coordination between the two since Zoltán Rácz, who is the artistic director of the Amadinda Percussion Group, is also the director of the Percussion Studies program at the Liszt Academy of Music. From the start, even before I arrived in Hungary, he was extremely accommodating and expressed a great amount of enthusiasm for having me to come work with his students, and I was very excited to be here, and every opportunity I had to observe Amadinda in rehearsals and performances was truly remarkable and always unforgettable. I can definitively say that spending this year working with such fantastic musicians in the Hungarian community has truly changed me as a musician.
My overall impression of the students has definitely been positive. I've had the opportunity to work with a lot of students in Ukraine, in the US, now in Hungary, and the Hungarian students are very, very positive, very hardworking, responsible. So it's been very easy. It's been a pleasure for me to work with them, and really it's made my work a lot easier because all I've had to do is show up, kind of show them the way and be a role model or a positive role model, and they've done the rest. They've told me what they want, and I just show them the way, basically. I'm interested in international relations, and Fulbright is a binational, international nonprofit. So, or I don't know what it is, but it's definitely international. So just being around individuals like Nelly, Karoy, US Embassy officials, I've learned so much. And it's definitely kept my interest alive to study international relations, study international development, and actually I'll be going to graduate school next year for that reason. So yeah, it has sparked my interest, you could say.
Well, when I was doing research about my family, which was extremely useful for me, and also it allowed me to see something that was part of myself, I feel, that I had never experienced before. I felt like there was almost a ghost of me that was waiting for me here, waiting for me to come and discover it. I'm staying on for another year to lecture in Szeged, and I did it because, to be honest and to try to sum it up, I fell in love with the country and I fell in love with the city, and I felt that I could either teach back in America or teach here, and I really want to stay here. I taught a workshop this semester at the University of Szeged, and the students were really wonderful because they hadn't had a creative writing workshop before, that had never been offered. And to have the chance to work with them really gave me the opportunity to see writing through different eyes, and the eyes of Hungarians. And one of the most remarkable things to me about that was that they were all writing about Americans. I love being here, I love the people, I love the department, and it's really been wonderful for me.
I've never been prouder to be half Hungarian than I am right now tonight. I saw, for example, the Academy of Science, where my uncle, Nándor Balázs, worked when he was young before he went to Princeton and studied with Einstein. I saw where my father was born. I saw the lake Balaton, where my father used to go sailing. I saw the Danube, where my father always talked about, and it means a great deal to me to be back here in Budapest. Oh, I think Pécs needs a good PR person because it's a magnificent city. And they have, since 2010, when they got a good deal of money from the Hungarian government, done wonderful things in that lovely town. They have extraordinary catacombs that are from the year 300. They have the Zsolnay factory, which has the most stunning pottery that I've ever seen. They have a wonderful university, which, by the way, is ranked among the top universities on the planet. And it is spread out all over the beautiful city of Pécs. So it was a great thrill for me to be there. We spent the weekend there. They are right in the middle of the Champagne district, so our meals began with a glass of champagne, and it was really a treat. It was quite great.
I came because I was looking for a certain type of conditions that I expect we will find in the United States and globally. I found it here in Hungary, and the ability to work with the people and the economic conditions, the social issues, was just more than I could really ask to be, allowed to extend my Fulbright second year.
Some advantages of living in a small town are definitely that I got to be a part of the community. Because I would see people, I'd see my students and my students' parents and other teachers when I went to the store or walked around town. So it was definitely a good community feel. And I really got a true cultural exchange. Like, I would go over to the other teachers' houses for dinner. I spent Christmas with a teacher. So it really kind of felt like I became immersed in Hungarian culture, which was great. Pop culture my students were interested in was pretty much everything. They had a lot of questions about, ranging from, is life really like it is on Gossip Girl, to the Kardashians, and I mean they're very well versed in American culture and what we do, and so yeah, they just had a lot of questions. They wanted to know if it was like it was on TV, which I told them it was not. Oh, absolutely, yeah. I plan to come back and visit, and I have people who are going to come and see me. And of course, with Facebook and Skype, it's so easy to stay in touch these days. So yeah, I think it would be great to do some exchanges. I don't know financially how possible that's going to be, but I think it would be fantastic to do something like that eventually.
Basically about my teaching experience in Hungary. First of all, I am an associate professor of the practice at Boston University School of Hospitality Administration. Here I have been associated with the Tourism Competence Center of the Economic Geography Department of Corvinus University. I was asked to offer a new course on contemporary business practices in food service management. Food service in Hungary, we can call it restaurant industry, is very complex, and managers and business owners face various challenges. Essentially, we deal with a weak purchasing power in Hungary, but also with a very sensitive consumer base. So essentially what I try to achieve here is to help students to understand what it takes to run a very efficient, very profitable operation.
Yes, during my grant period I had an opportunity to apply for Hungarian citizenship, and it was a long process, but I was very excited when I finally received my proof of my citizenship. And actually, this past week, my children also received proof of their citizenship, Hungarian citizenship. And the week that I received mine, we had a Fulbright program in the Office of the President. And so we got to celebrate my citizenship there, overlooking the Danube, which was also very special. Well, it was wonderful to have their support and to spend a lot of time in Hungary and visit all the sites from my places where my parents had lived, places I had heard so many stories about growing up in Hungary. I had to, my children had a very nice community with their schools. My children attended Hungarian schools here in Budapest, and so we really got involved with their whole life in their school. For example, we got to go on a pilgrimage with my children's school to Esztergom to honor the Cardinal Mindszenty, and it was a bike pilgrimage that took 2 days, 1 day there and 1 day back, and it was an incredible experience.
I came to Semmelweis University, the Institute of Behavioral Sciences, to conduct a survey of women's birth experiences. We adapted the American survey, which is called Listening to Mothers, which has been given 3 times in the United States, to the Hungarian context. So while here I lectured on how you can define what a healthy C-section rate is for a country, and what the role is in surveying women about their births in informing our health policies around surgery. So I gave lectures in Debrecen and Szeged about this topic of how to lower cesarean section rates, and I found people were very open to discussing the idea. And I hope that my survey, because we ask about women's preferences around types of birth, we'll be able to inform at least a dialogue about women's reactions to the cesarean section rate in Hungary, which is actually the same level or similar level to the United States. And the United States has recently recognized our cesarean section rate as a public health problem. Yeah, Semmelweis, I was fortunate Semmelweis extended my collaboration through December. It was challenging to conduct an entire survey within the confines of my Fulbright project. So I was happy that we finished an English version during the time of my Fulbright project, and then through the extension I'll be able to gather the data and collaborate with my team to analyze and write up the results.
It was really exciting to be the first Fulbrighter at Kecskemét's Teachers Training College. They were really excited to have me to start with. They could not do enough. They gave me 6 classes to teach, which I really enjoyed. In particular, they wanted me to teach my area, African American history, and the students actually were quite open to that. The first thing I did was I asked them, what stereotypes do you think about African Americans? So we kind of got that all out, and then we had a discussion about the parallel between Roma and African American racism and discrimination, and they actually understood very well. Yeah, the American partners in Debrecen and Pécs and Veszprém, they asked me to speak actually for African American history originally, but they were full on their calendars, so I did my minor, women's history, and I talked about the first ladies. I picked 5 of them, and we had actually some good discussions. There were community members in one city, we had 2 high schools in another city, and then university students in another city. And they were pretty excited, especially about Michelle Obama. I'm so excited about the hopeful collaboration of Teachers Exchange. It'll be between the University of Pannonia, I can almost say that, and the University of Szeged, and the Teachers Training College in Kecskemet, and then the college where I teach, which is the Metropolitan Community College in Omaha, Nebraska. And I'm really excited and hoping eventually to make it a student exchange as well. Yes, this is definitely a plan, and I'm hoping I'll get to come back and maybe oversee it a little bit. Maybe they'll need more Fulbright alumni, who knows?
So my field is human-computer interaction, and I'm really interested in how this human-computer interaction happens in vehicles. And in fact, I'm really interested in how you might be able to gain some understanding about it using the eyes of the driver, specifically looking at how pupil diameter changes as they engage in this interaction. I really liked what I saw at my host university. You know, the students have equipment that is, if not the same, but certainly very close to being the same, you know. And I think that, to be perfectly honest, whether you have the absolute latest equipment or not, it seems to be, it's probably less relevant than your ability to actually engage in problem solving. And that's something that they certainly do get a lot of. I hope to engage in actually exchanges with Hungary. In fact, my host and I have been discussing two different approaches, and one would be a summer school, sort of a shorter thing, and then another approach would be probably a semester-long exchange. The students I've met in Hungary are very motivated, and when I think of the US students and Hungarian students, I don't see a difference in motivation. I think people are goal-oriented. They want to be somewhere in a certain number of years and accomplish certain things. And I see that both here and in the States.
Well, here at the end of the academic year, we are very proud to say goodbye to our American scholars. More or less 20 were in the country, some in the first semester, some in the second semester. The students were here for the whole academic year. And we said goodbye now to 34 Hungarian scholars and students who are off in August and September for their semesters in the United States. They're going to a variety of good universities, excellent universities. Many of them are also sponsored by the host. In other words, some universities are very interested in hosting them and taking care of them in addition to what we can provide. So there's some very important cost sharing going on. And the students, for example, there are 17 of them. They represent 15 different academic fields. And the only overlap is really among the lawyers, and even the lawyers represent 3 legal fields, such as constitutional law, patent and trademark law, as well as various forms of commercial law. So we can say we have 17 different students studying 17 different subject matters next year. Each student and scholar who comes to Hungary probably comes with preconceptions. Many of them are drawn by their family heritage, perhaps by their research interest. Many of them, of course, choose several countries and then end up coming to Hungary. But they all leave a different person, a changed person, and every single one of them decides to come back in some form, whether they bring future classes if they're teaching, whether they bring research projects, whether they bring their family on vacation and so forth. So it seems that they have a motivation to come to Hungary, but they end up with more motivation to come back again and again. And this is not only professional commitment, but also very deep personal ties are established and reinforced by their presence. Yes, we have a very loyal American alumni. They are very helpful in peer reviews, in writing letters of recommendation, in sending us the best students and colleagues, as applicants. And they also show up sometime during the summer, and then I encourage them to take part in the interview process. So they end up volunteering a lot of their time and effort to help the future colleagues coming from Hungary.
So my favorite Hungarian word is kukarica.
Patogatto kukarica.
Töltött káposzta.
Smakos kuba.
Fagylalt.
It's probably rétes.
Egészségedre.
Egészségedre.
Köszönöm.
I love the word valamit. Láthatatlan. Fülolaj.
Káprázatos.
Anya.
Ciki.
Szerdnyék.
Szerelem.
Viszlát.